Getting pre-seed and seed investment is super hard right now. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've definitely noticed, and all the founders that I work with have definitely noticed. It's not 2021 anymore at the height of the frothy bubble. Getting an investor's attention is super, super hard. And there are a lot of reasons for this. If you look at the cost of capital alone, there's going to be less capital in the market, and there's predicted to be 72% less capital when it comes to LPs loading up GPs in terms of their investment funds. That means if a general partner or VC even wants to invest, they might not even have any money to do so. Not to mention, you've got entire industry sucking up all the oxygen, like AI getting billions of dollars of funding, and all the money going to darlings like NVIDIA. Who knew that just in 4 years that they would be making so much money because you're seeing them sell all this product to AI companies? It's like this perfect storm that's going to determine in the next 5 years what the next trillion-dollar companies are going to be. That perfect storm happens all the time. Trends always happen. If you want to know what to do, I'm going to give you the one hack. I asked myself, if I had to teach founders one hack that's going to 10x their probabilities and their opportunities to get early stage funding, this would be it. And I personally use this hack to get funded 2 times. Not just get funded, but also sell my companies. And I'm still using this hack today, and I'll give you the details. I'm going to give you a lot of proof that this hack works if you're willing to do it. I'm also going to share with you another founder who's using that hack, and this is how I knew that other people could use it to get funding. This founder has raised over $100 million across 15 or 16 different startups. And while I'm saying it's a new hack, it's actually an old hack, but it needs to be adjusted to address what is going on today. So even though it's going to be based on traditional principles, really sound principles that help founders get funded every single time, it's going to be new because we have to adapt it to today. Before we continue, let me introduce myself super quick. My name is Ed Kang, 7-time funded founder with 2 exits. That's just fancy talk for saying I failed a bunch of times to your benefit, because I use videos like this and this YouTube channel to help early stage founders raise pre-seed and seed funding while avoiding some of the catastrophic mistakes that I've made. Not to say you're not going to make mistakes, but I'm going to try to minimize the damage, the heartache, the pain, the suffering that comes with those mistakes. I'm also the Chief Strategy Officer for Startups.com, where I personally advise over 600 different startups, and I've had thousands of other startups cross my desk. I work with a team that's raised over $700 million for startups in their time, and we pretty much see it all, especially what is happening in the market today. Speaking of Startups.com, if you're joining me from there, thank you very much for your support and being part of the community. While you're here, if you could like, comment, subscribe, if you haven't already, that would be totally appreciated. So let me explain the hack that I use, and it's very simple. It's be contrarian. Let me repeat that. Be contrarian. Being contrarian is basically being contrary to where everybody else is going. It's like being against the grain, if you've heard that expression. If everybody's going left, you are going right. If everybody's going up, you are going down. If everybody's polarized, black or white, then you are thinking between all the grays. But before you start saying, I'm already contrarian, I'm already thinking different, I am different, I'm special, everybody wants to be special, you have to prove it. And that's where founders fall short. And I'm going to show you how to prove it in a way that gets investors' attention in those early stages of a startup. Back in my day, during the 90s, during Web 1.0, yep, that's how old I am, I started a company in 3D animation when it was a new thing, and then we wanted to put animation on the internet. And I was contrarian because a lot of other companies were doing this, and they were creating spinning logos. That was their main thing. Special effects, spinning logos, animated GIFs, those were a thing back then. They made a comeback. And I said, our company is going to be contrarian, and we are going to say no to spinning logos. We are not going to do corporate animation. But everybody said, that's a dumb idea because you're not going to make any money. That's who's paying for animation right now. And I said, no, we're not going to do it. Because I had a mentor that explained to me, Ed, if you go into flying logos and corporate animation, that's all you're going to be doing. All your resources are going to be gobbled up. And those are the clients that you're going to get. And you're going to get a reputation for that type of work. And I said, I want to do character-based animation. And everybody said, you have to be Disney. You have to go to these big companies. And I said, no, we're not going to do that. We can't be Pixar. We can't afford it. There's got to be a better way. So we worked different angles, and we dedicated ourselves to character animation. And it was totally true. We did not make any money. Those were lean and mean times for sure. I think I was making about $2,000 a month is what I was making through all these different jobs that we were taking on for itty bitty pieces of character animation. But in the meantime, we worked on our character animation portfolio. And sure enough, one producer came walking along and said, "Hey, you guys seem a little different." I said, "That's right. We're contrarian. We only do character animation. We refuse to do corporate animation." He really liked us and began talking to him. He was funded by a very big global family office that ended up acquiring us. And my original angel investor was super happy. It was a pretty nice exit on his part. In fact, I work with that investor to this very day. Let me tell you about my next venture when I was talking about company culture, and everybody thought company culture was dumb. This was all the way back in 2009 when I started trying to solve my own problems as an executive director for a family office and a big group of companies. And I had people tell me, nobody is going to pay for culture. You have to make it work for the accounting department. Nobody's going to pay for all this soft, squishy stuff. But you know what? I came up with a contrarian statement. People would come up to me and they say, "Ed, we need to motivate our people to be more productive." And I said, "That's great." And I was studying intrinsic motivation back in the day. And I said to them, "That's the wrong question. You're asking, how do we motivate our people, when the real question is, how do we create an environment where our employees motivate themselves?" You see, it's all in the language. It's all in the way that I communicated my contrarian ideas that caught the attention of some customers and specific investors, especially one customer that became the number one customer and funded me enough to build my product. It may seem like a no-brainer today. Everybody talks about culture. We have Google and Zappos and other companies to thank for that. But back in the day, I was considered a black sheep. I was, you could say, counterculture to where all the money was going. I was contrarian. Here's where I'm using it today. When I'm talking to certain investors, I say, everybody wants to fund the unicorn, and startups die at 90% failure rates. And you're hoping that one company goes unicorn and is worth $1 billion, so they have to reach $100 million in revenue. But I say to them, what if we could build 100 companies that do $1 million a piece? That seems like a totally dumb idea. Isn't it better just to go big, go all in on one? Well, this new fad is happening. It's called being a multipreneur. I'm just taking that to hyper levels. And I'm showing investors, hey, if we use this software, if we build this platform, we can fund 100 companies that do $1 million a piece. And if one of them fails, it's not going to hurt the rest of the portfolio. We're not going to go for a big fat exit. Maybe we'll roll it all up and sell it to private equity or take it all public at the same time. But instead of one company doing $100 million, I'm going to build 100 companies that do $1 million a piece. And that sounds like such a dumb idea to so many people. But I'm going to tell you right now, I've got investors looking at it going, that's a really interesting idea. Why? Because I have their attention, because I'm saying something contrary to the market. My last example is my buddy Greg. I just interviewed him on the Startups.com channel. His team has a contrarian view to how cybersecurity should be done. He told me, "Ed, what happens is people take their diamonds and they either build a wall around their diamonds, which is their data, or they build all these sensors to make sure that anybody tries to touch their diamond, that's going to go off and they're going to be able to do countermeasures and protect those diamonds." He said, what we're going to do is we're going to turn those diamonds into coal. So pretty much anyone steals those diamonds, they're not going to get the value out of them because they can't do anything with them. You basically have a lump of coal, but the lump of coal is a diamond to the company that created it. So he's all in on encryption, which is different than the other companies that are getting funded right now in cybersecurity. And guess what? He's getting a lot of buzz and attention from some serious investors because he's saying something contrarian. When can you use this tactic? You know what I like to do? I like to look at the Y Combinator batch. There's a lot of news that comes out the Y Combinator batch, and if most of the batch is going this one way, I start thinking in the other way. You can also use this hack when you have enough domain expertise. You need domain expertise to be able to ask contrarian questions. This is where you need to use first principles thinking versus anecdotal thinking. Anecdotal thinking is when you've heard a story, or you have a story in your head, or someone tells you the story, and you start trying to live that story. I think I should be doing this. Everybody else is investing in that, so I'm going to be doing it. But first principles thinking stops, pumps the brakes, and asks why. And asks why 5 times at least. Why are they doing it that way? And especially, why can't we do it the opposite way? And instead of thinking it's a dumb idea, what you do as a scientist, you think to yourself, okay, if I was going to do it the opposite way, how would I do it? What would that mean? Before judging the entire process. And that's what you start telling investors. You tell them, everybody is going this way in Y Combinator. A16Z is investing in this. Sequoia is investing in that. And everyone's going that way. Like AI, I'm thinking we need to go this way because that's where the opportunities are going to be. There are going to be underserved, underrepresented, and underestimated opportunities in this niche. Then you ask yourself, how can I prove it with minimum effort? That is an MVP. And then you're going to tell investors, see, I've proven it. And it can be very simple, like a survey. Everybody's going this way. I'm going to find out how many people want to go that way. If everybody's trying to automate, I'm going to go see who wants to do it manually. Maybe you've heard of the red ocean versus the blue ocean. The red ocean is where everybody wants to go, and it's bloody with competition. The blue ocean is stuff nobody's explored before. It's completely blue. There's no competition there. But remember, blue oceans often look like dumb ideas. You're basically saying, I know all the riches and all the treasures and all the fish are over here, but I'm just going to go sail over there into that blue ocean. I have no idea what I'm going to find, but I'll be the only one there. Let me give you some other MVPs that I'm working on. I'm working on a fantasy card trading game that's played in casinos. That is a dumb idea. But if it works, I've created a totally new category of card gaming. I'm also doing another MVP with community, and I'm saying we are going to be a being community versus a doing community. What does that mean? What do? We're just going to be together. We're going to learn how to be together. That doesn't make any sense. I've had so many associations, potential clients, and possible investors go, Ed, that's not going to make any money. You can't charge any money if you just be together and you don't do stuff with the community. I go, yeah, it's a completely contrarian bet, except for the fact that I have people coming out on a regular basis. I'm doing little mini micro events to prove my thesis. My hypothesis is contrarian. I'm telling investors, let me prove it to you. And let me tell you how motivating that really is. Here's the last one, content marketing. Everybody says you need to do more content using AI. Start using all those AI tools. And I'm going in the opposite direction and say, let's invest in creators that don't use AI. Let's get back to creators who are makers by hand, because I think there's always going to be a market for that. That trend is never going to go away. Sure, there might not be the same riches that you would get in the masses, but that's where competition goes to die. Think about this for a moment. AI is becoming increasingly expensive because all the money being poured in. There's a talent war that's going on. So the bets are getting bigger, but the failures are going to be even more astronomically higher, and a lot of people are going to lose their money. And that's okay if you got that money to burn and you've got that time, but I have a much higher cost of opportunity, and I want to make sure that investors make a good solid chunk of money and I get the investment that I need. This channel is another great example. I'm showing the metrics of this channel and what I'm doing to investors, and they are starting to pay attention because I'm saying, see, I'm proving it. You don't need 1 million subscribers, as everybody thinks when you're on social media, to make something profitable. Here's what it boils down to. If you rise on trend, you are going to fall on trend. But if you decide to go against the grain, at least you're going to get attention and have a better shot of getting there and proving out your contrarian hypothesis. But remember, you have to be willing to prove it out. Just because you have an idea, it might get somebody's attention, but the next steps are to build your MVPs and do it in a way where you're not having to build the entire thing and take a massive risk with all your runway to prove out how contrarian you can be and that what you are thinking is correct. If you're doing this to make money or be secure, you want to go get a job working for those companies. Join a winner, get a job. There are much easier ways to get rich than doing startups. But there's a bunch of you out there that cannot not do it like me. Once I have an idea and I really think I can prove it out, man, am I ever focused. I'm basically obsessed, and that's what the best founders do. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with security and going after the money. I just told you there's a huge AI bidding war out there. Go and get good at AI and get gobbled up by one of those companies and stash away your millions of dollars in stock options and then walk out with $10 million after everybody exits and then go invest in your other companies. But if you want to use this hack, you have to be courageous, and that's where I want to encourage you. I want to give you an opportunity to walk out there, encourage, be contrarian, because if you can hack away at this, you shortcut your path to getting those investors. I think it's the way to go, and I am living this every single day of my life. I hope you do too. Thanks for checking this out. I'll put some other videos on the screen for you to watch. I appreciate all the support. Leave a comment. Love to know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.